another Versus video. I am BBD, joined here with
Chris VanMeter.
Chris VanMeter. We're going to battle some standard action in a couple of
Yes.
nearly monocolored decks. I'm playing Grixis, or mono blue with some multicolored symbols, and
Yep. I'm playing white weenie with red, just a white-red aggro deck. We do have some hybrid mana in there with good old Dryad Militant, Tidebinder Mage's best friend, but we're hoping that it's not going to be relevant.
we're hoping that it is, but I guess
first we have to decide who gets to go first. As customary, we will do the basic land game, and since I was the victor last time, I will be choosing, and BBD gets to guess yet again.
I don't think you need to use the phrase last time. You just say every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the same thing as before. Is I'm going to roll a dice.
Okay.
And odd, I'll go random, and even, I'll actually pick one.
All right.
So it looks like I get to actually pick one this
All
time.
right. Let's see. Let's see what it is.
So I wonder what type of read the BBD is going to have.
I
this
actually
time.
have 0 read, which is probably bad for me. Probably means I'm just going to get stone cold.
So I think that this one is actually going to be safe. And that's what we're going to go with. We're going to go with this one right here.
Swamp.
I thought you were going to do all three at once.
Nah. All right, I'll do the next 2 at once.
You got to write them down.
All right. No, I'm not going to write them down. I'm just going to say them. Island Forest.
Oh, you got it.
Yes.
Oh, man.
All right, we won
How
one.
did you read the forest?
Just had it, man.
Oh,
Dude, I'm attuned with the trees, so.
I guess.
All right. So we'll be on the play. This hand is kind of bad, but I actually think that we keep it. Well, I don't know. It has a lot of powerful cards, and basically if we draw another one of these, this hand's actually just very good. So I'm going to try it, but it could very well bite us if we don't draw land. So I'll keep.
All right. Well, this hand is definitely interesting. We do have a temple to help us try and smooth our draws. The only problem is we don't have a 1-drop, and I feel like I probably want to have a 1-drop in this matchup, but I also think that this is probably our best card in the matchup. And we only have 2 of them in the deck, so I think that I want to keep it just on that. I also think that this card is probably pretty good as well. And then this will allow us to be tricky at some point in combat. So I'm going to give this a shot and see what happens.
All right. Island go. Playing some draw go.
All right.
Force spike his turn 1 drop.
So we did draw a 1-drop at this point, but I think that it's not very good against either of his 2-drops. So I think that I would rather just guarantee that I can play a 2-mana spell next turn, and I'm just going to play a temple.
Okay.
And we'll scry. And I think that this card is pretty good against him, so we're going to keep it on top. Go ahead.
All right. Islands. Islands. All right. Well, not an island, and probably the worst possible. So go for it. Just the way I like
we
it.
Draw the card that we knew that we had.
Lucky.
And at this point, I can either play both of these, or I can just play this guy. And I think that I'm fine with playing both of these and then this guy the following turn. So we're going to shock.
All right, we got him where we want him at 18.
And
Facing
we're
down a
gonna play both
Mutavault.
of these creatures. And it'll be your turn.
Okay. So I could fire this off here. And I think I will, because I plan on drawing a land and then casting the rest of the cards I have. So I think we're best just like going ahead and firing this off now just to buy us some time. So I'm just going to Cyclonic Rift the Soldier of the Pantheon. And then we will draw a land off the top. We're going to cast a Judge's Familiar and say go. Not draw a land off the top.
Alright, so we didn't draw a land either. But this card is very good against him, so I'm just going to play it.
Okay.
And there could be merit here to attacking with my Dryad Militant. However, if we do draw another land next turn, then it just gets so much better for us. And I'm actually just going to pass the turn.
All right. That's a land. So we could play
How lucky.
very lucky. We could play this, but then we just take a hit from Precinct Captain, which I don't want to do. So I'm actually just going to play a Frostburn Weird. And let's see. So if we attack with Judge's Familiar, like, I guess what's the likelihood he attacks with both creatures? I guess I'm going to hold the Judge's Familiar back in case he has a removal spell for Frostburn Weird. We can still trade with his Militant. So we'll pass the turn. That might be a mistake, though, because we maybe don't want to trade it regardless, but...
All right, well, we still haven't drawn a land, which is unfortunate for us. So I have a couple different options on what I can cast. So we have all three of these. But I could also use this as a way to kill his Frostburn Weird. Which I think is going to be about just as good as actually playing another creature. So I'm going to attack with the this guy.
Block.
Yep, I'll give him double strike.
We'll counter it.
Oh, you have your Judge's Familiar. Oh, jeez.
Judge's Familiar, doing that thing that he likes to do.
Oh, man.
Countering Boros Charms.
That was real bad. And it's your turn.
All right.
Wow, that was
Draw.
really bad.
All right, well, we drew another island, which is pretty much exactly what we wanted. And we will just play a Night Veil Spectre. And getting in for one here seems pretty mediocre in case he has like a removal spell, so we'll just pass.
And we'll play a Temple and Scry.
Okay.
And I want to keep that guy on top. And here I think I just play an Imposing Sovereign and pass.
All right, Opposing Sovereign. Draw. Let's play Mutavaults.
Another land, huh?
Just right off the top. Just right where we want them. So we could play this. But I kind of actually just like playing this. So because I want to just get this out there to like basically as early as possible to start scrying, and also like this just gets better the longer the game goes, and we're not like under any kind of intense pressure to play it right now. So I'm just going to play a Thassa, and I'm not 100% sure on the interaction, but I know there's something
I can
with...
explain it to you.
All right,
so
perfect.
The way Sovereign works with Thassa is, while Thassa is entering play, it will check what it is before it enters play.
Okay.
So if you have 5 or more devotion, not counting the Thassa, it will enter play as a creature and be tapped by Imposing Sovereign.
Okay.
If you only had 4 devotion, and Thassa would be the 5th, it would see that it would not be a creature without itself, therefore it would enter play untapped and then be a creature once it's in play.
Okay.
So since you do have the 5 devotion, it would
It
enter
comes
play
played.
tapped. Yep.
All right, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very intuitive.
Yeah. Works exactly the way you would think.
And I
or not.
believe Ricky Hashi actually wrote about it in an article. So we'll give him a little plug.
Awesome. And I'm just going to pass the turn here. I just want to keep my guys back. A Night Veil hit here isn't that important.
All right, so we knew what we were drawing, and I think that I want to just play this and then attack. So what blocks does he have here? He could use his Frostburn Weird to trade with either Militant or Imposing Sovereign. His Spectre would trade with either of them. If he has Rapid Hybridization, he could hit his own Thassa and make a 3/3, which would trade. So I think that actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shock myself.
Okay, 16.
I'm going to play a Spear of Heliod.
Sure.
And I'm going to go to combat.
Sure.
I'm going to send in everybody.
All right, so he's shocking himself, which highly suggests that he has a Brave the Elements. Like, there's really no reason to do that otherwise. So what we're going to do is we're going to block here since his guy's still a 3/3 and can't kill the Frostburn Weird. Actually, sorry, before blocks, we're going to activate our Mutavault. And we want to get Imposing Sovereign off the board because it's actually just very annoying. And based on what we have in our hand, like we have this, so we don't want his Imposing Sovereign in play. And we also don't want to lose any of our creatures either. So we're going to put Mutavault underneath the Sovereign, and we're going to put Frostburn Weird under the Precinct Captain. And I don't want to trade my Spectre for his Dryad Militant, so I'm just content to take 3.
Sure.
So I dropped to 17. These guys bounce, and these trade.
And then we'll play Soldier of the Pantheon.
Okay.
Post-combat, and I'll pass.
All right, so we get to scry with Thassa, and we don't need this anymore, so we will put that on the bottom. And we will draw. Okay. His Soldier of the Pantheon has protection from Frostburn Weird and Night Veil Spectre, so we really...
I think the Rift is exiled.
Yeah,
Is
you're
this
right.
in play? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get...
Yeah.
I'm sure people will notice it, so let's fix it now.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So like what we want to do basically is we want to play this turn and then lead into this the next turn to really go crazy. So what we're going to do is, I think we can attack with Night Veil Spectre here though. We don't want to block any of these guys since they all trade with the Spectre. So we're going to start by, and I want to leave Thassa back because I want to be able to block his guys with Thassa. So we'll start by attacking with Night Veil Spectre. Drop you to 14, and let's see what we get here. A Mutavault, perfect. We will play it as our land, and then cast a Master of Waves. And get a lot of guys. Looks like we have 7. So hopefully he does not have a way to kill Master of Waves, and we will just have 7 elementals in play. 2, 4, 7, yeah. And I will pass the turn.
Alright, so...
And even if he does kill Master of Waves, we still have Thassa, which can block, which is pretty nice.
So I don't think there's very many ways for me to actually get out of this one. But I'm going to scry with my temple.
Okay.
I'll put that on the bottom.
I see the CVM, you're not interested in playing Plains or Mutavaults, just want to...
No, I don't have any of those.
Just have all duels.
Yeah.
Plateau next turn.
All right. So the problem with this is even if I try to hope to survive next turn and draw into a Brave the Elements, he still has 2 Mutavaults that will be able to block regardless. And I don't think there's actually anything that I can do. Yeah, not having a Banisher Priest here means that I'm just actually dead.
Okay.
Yeah, just not hitting a Banisher Priest.
Just gonna draw a million cards.
Yeah, Judge is familiar. I'll take back my Mutavault though.
Oh yeah. Alright, we're back for game number 2.
Yep, I'll be on the play, and make sure I read your cards this time.
The old RTFC.
Yeah. Alright, well this hand isn't particularly awesome, but we do have some spells that we can curve into. This one in particular is very good against him, and this will actually let us try and filter some of our draws, so I'm going to keep.
Alright, well our hand is the perfect curve with a couple of nice interactive spells. We have 2 lands. They are both Mutavault. So Rats. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the top card of your deck was Island, so.
Alright, so we are back with my mold of 6. And alright, woo, that last card. Yeah, this hand's like very good if we draw another one of these. So we're gonna hopefully draw another one of those.
Scry. And I think that we just ship this to the bottom. So it could be said to keep this to play on turn 3, since I'm just going to go 2-drop into 2-drop. But I would rather just draw spells that I can actually cast. Go ahead.
Alright, so far so bad. Go.
Good.
Alright. Alright, now's the time when we need it. And we didn't get it.
No Frostburn.
That's a little awkward. Alright, go ahead. We're running into the old Legacy Merfolk without a vial problem. We just can't cast any of our spells.
Alright, well we're going to battle for dose.
Alright, 18.
Trigger. Get a soldier. And then we're going to play a Daring Skyjack and a Right on Time turn 3 Boros Elite. Go ahead.
Alright, well we're going to not draw an island. Let's go ahead and play a Mutavault.
Deal.
I did, however, draw a very timely Judge's Familiar, which does level this guy up, or evolve. I always call it level up. So we now have a 1/2 Rock in the Skies doing his thing, and we're just going to ship the turn.
Alright, so at this point, I have a couple different options. So I could use this and attack 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He would take 1 less. Take 8 and go to 10. I would get another soldier. Or I can... So yeah, I could use this and then follow it up with this. Or I can just attack and then play this. To decide what's going to be better.
You can also concede, too.
That is
it's always an option that's on the table.
that is an option.
And you're fighting down a pretty imposing board. There's a Judge's Familiar, Cloudfin Raptor.
That's very true.
This is a Squire.
So I think that it's actually going to be best just to attack and then play this guy. So we'll go to combat.
Okay.
And we'll triggers.
Yep. Some triggering occurring. So this guy is flying, so I will block him with my Judge's Familiar. And I will block. Let's see. I have to decide if I want to. So he could have like Boros Charm to give double strike, and I have to decide, do I want to lose a Cloudfin Raptor to a soldier token if he decides to go that route, or would I rather lose a Mutavault? I think I would rather lose a Mutavault. So yeah, I'm gonna activate a Mutavault and block the soldier with it there. Yeah, I'll block like that.
So I can I can use this, which will trade my soldier with the Mutavault, or I could just give my guys indestructibility, which will get in 5. I'll keep all my creatures, and then generate another soldier. Put him at 13. Three, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I actually think that it's better to just play, to let damage happen and then just cast this guy. So we will let damage happen, so you'll take 5.
Yep.
I'll get a soldier, and these guys trade. And then we'll cast another Precinct Captain.
Okay.
And I'll pass the turn.
All right. Basic land, island. That was a familiar draw step. They get the judge out there, and we'll pass the turn.
Okay. Well, that was a good draw. So that will let me 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. So here we're going to shock ourselves.
18.
I'm going to activate my Mutavault.
Okay.
And then we're going to battle with a trigger.
Let's see.
And here I just want to put as much pressure on him as I possibly can. I don't think I have to cash in either of these for now, since he's missing land drops.
Activate Mutavault again. Let's see. We'll put the Mutavault on your Mutavaults. I'll put Cloudfin Raptor on this, and let me decide if I want to take 4. We'll take 7, go to 6. Well, actually, maybe we can't block with Mutavaults. Think that through a little bit differently. Because we may have to save to be able to play this next turn. So maybe we don't activate Mutavaults. In that case, we would take 6, 9. We go to 4. Which means we would just be dead to a Boros Charm or a Brave the Elements, so that's definitely not like a reasonable thing. We'd also double block Mutavault with Cloudfin Raptor and Judge's Familiar. And then block his Soldier with our Mutavault, which is probably a better line. So, yeah, we'll still activate this. We'll block the Soldier with that, and I will double block your Mutavault with these two. We basically have to hope that he doesn't have anything here. So
5, 6, 7. So this is going to be putting you to 6.
correct.
Alright, so we're going to kill the Judge's Familiar.
Okay.
This guy dies. You're going to take 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep. So I go to 6.
Go to 6. I'll get 2 soldiers. This dies, and so does your Familiar. Play a Skycheck and pass.
All right. Right. Well, there is an island, so really our only chance of surviving is to play Jason, tick him up, and say go.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage here. And we will 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So I'll just Brave Blue.
Yep, that's game. Yep.
then 6 shift. I also had the Boros Charm.
All right, just had it all.
I mean, I was talking about indestructibility earlier. So.
Yeah. All right, we are back for sideboarding. As for myself, unfortunately, the judge did a lot of work, or almost or almost no work at all. But he just doesn't really stack up in combat very well against the stuff that his deck, the creatures that his deck has. I mean, he can trade with some of the 1 power guys, but like you have Brave the Elements and a Johnny and like.
I mean, like if I happen to get Spirit in play, like Familiar looks pretty unimpressive.
Yeah. So and like there's not a lot of spells to counter. Like a Brave the Elements costs 1, or like the odd Boros Charm's only like 2, or Mizzy Moors is like 2 or whatever. So like I don't think I'm gonna get a lot of mileage out of Judge's Familiar. So I think it's a pretty safe cut here. And then Biden is another cut. We're kind of the defensive deck here. We don't want a card that rewards us for being aggressive and ahead on board, because that's probably not going to be the case. Yeah. Instead, we want cards that will catch us back up. So that's where we have like Hybridization. Hybridization is very good against like Precinct Captain or whatever, anything that's like a very annoying creature in combat.
Banisher Priest.
Banisher Priest is the other big one too. We can get our guy back, or we can kill our own guy in response if we're worried about like a Brave the Elements or something.
It's actually pretty cute. Is if I have a Tidebinder Mage Banisher Priest, you can kill the Banisher Priest. I get the 3/3, and then the Tidebinder Mage will enter play and tap the 3/3.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. Then we have a Ratchet Bomb. I don't think this card's that great because like we have a lot of cheap creatures and stuff too. But he has more 1-drops than we do, especially if we're cutting Judge's Familiar. So we're probably just gonna blow it on 1 a lot, and it's fine for just clearing out a couple of guys there. Or on 3, you can get like some of his annoying creatures like Banisher Priest without like a Brave the Elements being able to stop it.
Also on 3, it doesn't hit your Thassa. And if I happen to have like a Johnny and or Spear going with my creatures, that's really the way I'm going to be able to kill you if you both have normal draws. So Ratchet Bomb gives you a game against that. Yeah,
definitely. Like 1 or 3 seems to be the ticket there most likely. Domestication is pretty good against cards like Precinct Captain, just because Precinct Captain bricks his team for 1, and also just having that threat on our side is pretty awesome. And then Jace is, like, you saw that last game. I was absurdly far behind, and if he didn't have Brave the Elements, Jace would have actually given me a chance to win. So, Jace is very good against this deck, I think. And definitely want as many Jaces as I can have.
Yep. As for me, I definitely want to get rid of Dried Militant. It just dies to everything in his deck, basically. And it even makes his Tidebinder Mages live. And I'm cutting a Boros Charm. I think the Boros Charm isn't that bad in this matchup, especially since his game plan is going to revolve a lot around Jace, so it gives me a way to pressure his Jace.
Yep.
And it might even turn out that I want to go back up to 2, if not more Boros Charms. But we'll see. Traditionally, before when I was playing the deck with 4 Boros Charms in the main, I was always cutting down to 2 or 1 against the blue deck before. So we'll find out. I am bringing in Mizzium Mortars as just more removal spells for like. Frostburn Weird, Nightveil Spectre, like those are the cards that are going to be, very difficult for me to actually attack through. Pacifism is just another pseudo answer for those 2 cards as well. And then since I am cutting Dried Militant, I have no multicolored cards in my deck, creatures in my deck, so Renounce the Guilds is just going to be a removal spell for his multicolor guys. I do have to be aware that if I'm using Pacifism against one of them and then draw Renounce later on, it can be a little awkward. But that's just the risk you play the risk you run when you play some narrow answers.
Yeah, and I think like those interactions don't come up that often. So like sometimes it's a non-bow, but for the most part, you'd rather just have the more powerful cards.
For sure. The one card that I was a little torn on, and I feel like at some point I might end up having to bring it in just to try it out, is Electrickery.
Yeah.
So it doesn't kill Master Waves, but it does kill all of the tokens. So like a 2/1 for 4 with Pro Red isn't very good against me if I can make sure all the tokens are dead. But then if he plays another Master of Waves, then it just kind of negates it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need to get rid of the first batch of tokens so that I can attack. So, if it turns out the Master is just beating the crap out of me, I'll bring it in and try it out. But for now, I don't think I'll need it.
Okay, cool.
So let's play and see what happens.
All right, we are back for game number 3. And I get to be on the play. Some exciting stuff going on here. Also, we have islands in our hand. Very exciting. So we will keep this.
So this hand is actually pretty interesting. We do have, that interaction that we talked about before. But now that we have them, we can play them in the right order. But we also have 2 cards that are very good against his deck. And some basic planes, which I'm happy to see. So I'm actually going to keep this hand too.
Basic planes. What is this? 1993? Go.
Yeah. Your turn.
Ooh, exciting. Exciting battle. Island versus planes. We're going to jam old Frostburn Weird. Get him out to the party.
Frostburn Weird. All right, so we draw. Now here we can play... We can just play one of these, which I think is fine. It might be better just to use this. And that way I can follow up with this if he were to play like a Nightveil Spectre next turn. And I think that that's probably going to be best, although I could just play this, and then if he tries to be aggressive, I can pacifism and actually get in with the captain. I think that's actually going to end up being better. So I'm just going to play this Precinct Captain,
Okay.
and then I'll pass.
Draw. Alright, pretty not good, but it is what it is. Play Tidebinder and we'll pass.
Alright, so that's not bad for us. So I'll play a Mutavault. Now here I can use this. My only fear is that he may have a rapid hybridization to upgrade his Frostburn Weird into a 3/3, which would be pretty bad for us. So I could just play another Precinct Captain, and I think that's probably going to be better than trying to get greedy with the Renounce the Guilds here. Now the problem with that line is that he may have a Domestication that he can play next turn, which him having a Precinct Captain would be pretty bad. But there are worse things. And you have 4 cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So most of these decks have 2 or 3 rapid hybridizations. And if he had a Spectre, he would have just jammed it there. So I think we're actually just going to be safe playing this Precinct Captain. And then I'll pass.
Resolves. Alright. Well, we're probably not attacking with Tidebinder Mage. Alright, so... Play a Nykthos.
Uh-oh. That's a little scary.
Is it? Just how scary?
Just a little, I said.
Let's see. Yeah, I think we just want to go ahead and master our waves now. We could try to hold for later, but yeah, I think we're best just making 5 guys at this stage in the game. And then we can't attack, so we will just pass the turn.
Alright, so a white source here would actually be pretty good. That was not the white source that I was looking for. So I can play a land. Now, so get my life pad here so I can figure this out. So I can use this to get rid of his Frostburn Weird. And if I attack with Precinct Captain, we could trade an Elemental for it. by blocking with Elemental. He could trade his Tidebinder Mage by blocking with the Elemental and the Tidebinder Mage. He would have to trade 2 Elementals to kill the other one. The other option is just to play this now. And I definitely would like to have a white source available to protect it. However, I think that we're just going to cast Banisher Priest and target Master of Waves.
Okay. He has been banished. These things are all gone.
And then I'll pass the turn.
Okay. Draw. Oh, hello.
So because we're drawing these Mutavaults, it's just really hampering our ability to play multiple white spells in a turn. It's unfortunate.
Alright, so we have these 3 cards here, and I want to make this card as awesome as possible. So we're going to wait on it, which means not using this, even though this card's pretty sweet. But we are going to play this just to try to set us up for next turn. Actually, I may take that back. I think we do want to play both of these, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I think we do. Since, yeah, just the way that interaction works. So we'll start by playing a Tidebinder Mage, and then we're going to activate Nykthos for 6 and domesticate a Precinct Captain. And then we have 2 mana left over, which we will use to pump Frostburn Weird twice and pass the turn. It's the classic. So now our plan is to try to get mileage out of this, if we can.
So, more than likely he has another Master of Waves or a Cyclonic Rift in hand, which would be quite unfortunate.
You should send him with just the Banisher Priest. I said you should send with just the Banisher Priest. I think that's...
I should, huh?
Just suggestions.
Alright, so... I can use this to get rid of his Frostburn Weird. And then I can just play this and attack with my Precinct Captain. And I think I'm fine with that. I just want to reduce his devotion to blue as much as I possibly can right now. So we're going to renounce.
Boom. Frostburn Weird, dead.
So I'm going to attack you with Precinct Captain.
Alright, so we could theoretically trade Precinct Captains here. But I actually don't want to do that. Because of what we have here, I think I'd rather just take the damage. So we're going to take 2, go to 18.
And I'll get a soldier.
Okay.
And then I'm going to play a Boros Elite.
Okay.
And pass the turn.
Alright. We will draw. Not exciting. Alright, so I think we are safe to attack with all of our creatures here. Actually, we probably want to just attack with the Precinct Captain, but now that I think about it. So if we attack with the Precinct Captain and he blocks with all his guys, we get to get our Master of Waves back. I don't think he wants that to happen. So I don't think he'll block. And I think we want to get a soldier out of the deal here. So we will go ahead and send on in the Precinct Captain.
I'll block with a soldier.
Okay. And we'll play an island, and we will pass the turn.
Alrighty, so we draw. That's not a bad one.
Okay.
Let's just scry and see what we've got going on here.
It's probably Stacy's mom on the top of your library.
It's definitely going on.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't think that we want this. So we will put it on the bottom. Now here, I can use my Mutavault to turn on my Boros Elite. Okay, so fortunately if he does have a Cyclonic Rift here, I'm going to end up taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exactly 20 points of damage. How cute is that? So I think that I don't really have any way to stop it, so I just have to try and get in as much damage as I can. So I think that if I put this on one of his Tidebinder mages, and then activate a Mutavault and just send with everybody. So I'm going to pacifism here.
Okay.
Make this a guy, combat,
Sure.
trigger.
All right. So you have already played a land this turn, correct?
Yep.
So yeah, we will overload.
It doesn't hit lands, but
Yeah, I understand. I just want to make sure you can't recast anything.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna overload a rift. Using Nykthos for blue.
And I think that actually kills me.
Yeah,
So.
this is lethal. So yep. So yeah, our game plan the entire time is to try to set up a board state to maximize the value out of Cyclonic Rift.
I mean, it's in there for a reason.
Yeah, it is.
And when you have Nykthos with it, it's pretty absurd. All right, here we are for game 4. Get to be on the play. And if this game goes like last game did, I think I'm going to want those Electrickeries. And I have a Sweet Hand and a Mutavault.
All right.
That Mutavault has been miserable all match.
This hand's pretty good. It's islands so we can cast our spells, and spells that we can cast with the islands. So,
And what more could you ask for?
I mean, not too much more. Like we could easily flood out with this hand, but that's what this girl's here for. Try to stop that from happening.
All right, here we are for my 6. So far, so bad. So far, so bad. And even worse.
All right. It's unfortunately CVM not speared from the mulligans.
All right, let's see if 5 can be better. Sure. Go ahead.
All right, go.
Your turn.
All right, Sovereign. We will play a Frostburn Weird. You're up.
All right, so here we get to battle for 2.
18.
Play a Skyjack and pass.
All right. Draw. Well, the only thing we can really do is just play a Tidebinder Mage, and we'll pass.
All right. So here I think that we want to just use this on the Frostburn Weird and get in for so I can do this on the Frostburn Weird and get him for 5, which puts him at 13. Then if he plays a Master of Waves the following turn, I can use this on the Tidebinder Mage and get him for 7, which puts him at 6. And then I'm fine if I draw a Brave the Elements. And I honestly, if I take the other line where I use this on the Frostburn Weird and save this for the Master of Waves, I actually don't think I'm going to be winning. So I think that I'm actually just going to Banisher Priest the Weird.
Okay.
Battle for 5.
Alright, so we're at 13.
I'll pass.
Alright, that was a good one. Right, we'll play an island. So, yeah, there's a couple lines here. One is we play this. We need to play either of these two cards, and I need to think for a second and decide which I think is the better. I kind of think it's this because it makes it really awkward for him to attack if we play this. Yeah, he actually can't really profitably attack. So I think that's where we want to be is like, yeah, I think we just want to play Jace. And we'll take him up and say go.
Alright, so draw a card. Anything but that. So I can use this on his Tidebinder Mage. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only do 4 damage, which does not kill Jace.
Correct.
So I think I'm better off putting him at 9. I definitely think that Boros Charm is, like, I want to have them in the deck on the play. Boros Charm here would be real sweet. Alright, so we definitely want to do this.
Okay, he is pacified.
I think we're just going to attack you.
Okay, so I just take 4 here, and I drop to 9.
Yep. And then it's going to be your turn.
Okay. And draw a card. So that's pretty solid. So I think we're just going to tick Jace up again and make it awkward for him to attack. No reason. Like, our hand's already pretty good. We don't need to, like, try to dig for anything. Then I want to use Nykthos. Yeah, that Nykthos, getting in there. I want to use Nykthos to add 4 mana and play Thassa, who, since this is our 5th, actually comes to play untapped, based on what CVM said earlier in the video.
Yep.
We still have a mana floating, and we will play a Frostburn Weird with that, and an extra one. So we have... And now I think at this point... we are just going to go ahead and pass the turn. So now it's pretty awkward for him to attack, since he has to basically run into Thassa if he wants to attack us here.
So Banisher Priest would be good. Well, my initial plan was actually awesome had you not had a Jace. So I can just do another 4 damage. Let's see, what would I need to draw to actually win this game? I have to draw Spear into Brave and have him have literal nothing. I could also just draw like running Banisher Priest would be okay, I guess. I think a Boros Elite last turn would have changed the math, but I didn't draw one. You have 2?
I have 2 cards, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that... I'm going to Brave Blue.
Alright, I actually have a response to that.
Sure, well, I'll cast Brave.
Alright. So he's casting the Brave the Elements here, and probably looking to just get on in. And we're going to go ahead and blow a Rapid Hybridization response.
Jeez.
Now, I would love to hybridize our Thassa and block, but since he has Sovereign, it comes into play tapped. That actually doesn't work for us. So we can either kill Banisher Priest and get back Frostburn Weird, but I actually don't think that that matters that much. I think the way we end up losing this game is like Daring Skyjet killing us in the air. So I think I'd actually rather like get rid of his Daring Skyjack and limit him to just dealing 2 damage this turn. So I'm going to kill the Daring Skyjack in response. And Frog Lizard. Yeah.
Alright, blue on the Brave. Attack you for 2.
Alright, down to 7.
Go.
Alright, go ahead and scry. Yeah, I don't think that this card really does anything for us at this stage, so we're just going to put it on the bottom and hope to draw like a Cyclonic Rift or a Master of Waves or something. Draw. Alright. We're going to go ahead and minus Jace, see what we hit. Hybridization, Thassa, oop, sorry, just shuffled that. And I'll leave that card on the bottom. It's Hybridization, Thassa, Jace.
So... we're not really going to be getting rid of a Thassa at any point, so I don't care if he has the Thassa. If I put the hybridization with the Jace, you can take that pile. His hybridization is live, and you can always just play a Jace into his Jace and get value out of the second one. So I'm just going to split them like that.
Alright.
Oh, I guess we'll do it on camera.
Sure. Alright, I'm going to take the hybridization and the Thassa. It is possible, actually, that Thassa could be relevant at some point, and we'll put Jace on the bottom. If he does like draw like a Banisher Priest or something for Thassa. Let's see. Alright, so now we have to decide what's 7. Like I want to pressure him, but at the same time I don't want to leave myself vulnerable to like him drawing like a Boros Charm or another Brave the Elements or anything like that. So let's see, if we attack with Thassa, we leave back a Frostburn Weird and a Mutavault to block plus a Rapid Hybridization. He also draw like a Spear of Heliod too, which would make that very annoying. I think since we have Jace active and like the hybridization in hand, that we're better off just playing it defensively. So I'll play a land, and I'm just gonna say go. Like we have so many live draws that we might as well play for them.
Okay. So we can't really do much at this point other than just play our captain and then pass.
Okay. Alright, scry. We will put that on the bottom. It's an island, and we will draw. And we'll minus 2 Jace again. Islands, islands, islands. Alright, we'll take 2 islands. Another one on the bottom. That was pretty ugly. We'll play one of those. I think. Let's see. we activate. Yeah, go ahead and activate Nykthos for
7.
Yeah. Activate Nykthos for 7 and start by playing a Jace. So we still have 3 mana in our pool. And I actually do want to try to hit something. So we're going to go ahead and minus the Jace. The +1 doesn't really do that much. He still can't really profitably attack that well. Spectre, Mutavault, Islands. So we're at 7. There is an advantage taking Mutavault because it is a way to block even if he has Brave, but we've already played a land this turn, and I think I just want to take that Spectre. So I'm going to take the Spectre. Play it tapped. And we'll pass the turn again. Okay.
Go.
All right. We will scry. And we're going to put that on the bottom. We don't really need that. We're looking for a Cyclonic Rift or a Master of Waves pretty much. So draw. I don't want to lose Jace. So see, he does have a lot of creatures that can attack at this point. So I think we hold our Night Veil Spectre back because anything we get from hitting him is not going to be that relevant. So I still want to hold back for one of our blowout cards that'll turn the game around. Go ahead and play an island. We'll just tick up Jace, play a Cloudfin Raptor, and we'll just pass the turn.
Okay, well that is an interesting draw. So I can do that now. Will it give me any attacks? No, it won't. But it also will help me help prevent myself from dying in some big chunks from the Thassa. So I'm gonna Pacifism your Thassa.
Okay.
And then I'll pass.
Alright, Scry. Again, that's not a bad card. It will lock down that Frog Lizard, but I don't think that actually matters. We still are looking for basically the cards that we mentioned. So we'll put that on the bottom, and we will draw. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and minus Jace again. It's Night Veil Spectre, Master of Waves, Island.
Well, I'll split the Master of Waves by itself.
Alright, we'll take the Master of Waves. And you have one card?
Yep.
Okay.
Uno.
Un. They all come into play taps, so I don't want to. Let's see. I guess we will activate Nykthos and add 1, 2, let's see, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Which probably won't be using that much mana. Let's add 11. Cast Master of Waves, which puts, I guess, 12 elementals into the battlefield then. We'll stack the triggers so that the evolve trigger goes on the stack first, then the master elemental trigger.
Yep.
That way, even if he kills our master in response, somehow we would still get to evolve our Cloudfin twice. All right, so Cloudfin evolves twice, goes up to 2. Then I'm going to use, let's see, some more mana to cast a second copy of Thassa and evolve our Cloudfin again, and we'll keep the non-pacified Thassa. And I'll play an island. I don't think I've played a land yet. And again, I don't think I want to attack here. We have 4 creatures that can block, and I don't want to get blown out or anything. So we will, because basically we're basically threatening lethal next turn, so there's no reason to attack. We'll just pass the turn.
See here. And that doesn't do anything, so I'm dead.
Okay.
Alright, here we are for game 5. Now I did swap the Renounce out back for the second Boros Charm. I feel like having the Boros Charm is a benefit, is a way to kill Jace without having to sacrifice dealing damage to you. And so this hand is fine if I draw another land. If I draw 2 lands, it's very good. Oh my gosh.
Just how ballsy are you, CVM?
I mean, yeah, I'll keep it. Whatever.
All right. This hand is fine. Having 2 of these is a little awkward sometimes. It can be very awkward, actually. But like the rest of our cards are pretty good, so it should hopefully turn out fine.
18.
Soldier of the Pantheon. That's kind of annoying for our hand.
Go ahead.
Draw. All right. I'll play an island and pass.
All right, come on. Bam. Look at that. I will attack.
So one consideration is to just blow this, because these guys can't interact with that card. But I think that might be a little loose. So we're just going to take 2 here. I think we're better off waiting.
All right, so we're going to shock and play a Skyjack.
Sure.
And then I'll pass.
All right, draw, and we'll just play Frostburn Weird.
Trigger.
All right, so you go to 17, and we'll pass the turn.
Draw a card. All right. So I don't really want to attack with both of my creatures here. So I think it's best just to attack with the soldier and play another one of these to threaten a lot of damage next turn. So we'll battle.
All right, 16.
Play another Skyjack and
Sure.
then pass.
Sure. Draw. All right, since we drew this, I actually think that we might want to use this now. He is threatening a lot of damage if he attacks with those 3 creatures. And if we do this and this, we pretty much lock down that damage. Plus we can trade with the soldier, maybe. The other option is playing this and just passing, but that seems real bad. Like we just get blown up by like Brave the Elements or anything if we do that. So I think I'm actually going to hybridize. And it's likely that he's going to get to Battalion at some point, and the soldier's not that much of a threat right now, so I'm actually going to get one of the Skyjacks. And I'm just going to put that into play tap because we're going to play Tidebinder Mage.
Sure.
Tap it down. And we're going to pass the turn here.
All right. So here... So I think that our best bet is going to be to use this to get in damage and then just cast this. Now he could just go like land into Master of Waves and make a bunch of guys. But if I draw a land, then that's going to end up being fine. Because once I get to untap with this guy in play, then attacking isn't really going to be a giant issue. So I'm going to Brave for blue to get in 5.
Okay, 11.
And then play a Boros Elite and pass.
Sure. Draw. Alright, well I think our line here is just playing a Night Veil Spectre.
Trigger.
Goes to 18. And I don't think we can attack. We want to have the opportunity to block all of his creatures, so we'll just pass. He has another Brave, that kind of sucks for us. But
Alright, so... I think that's probably a good card for us. So I can attack with the team. He may have another rapid hybridization, but I don't think so, and I'm hoping not. So if I attack with the team, he can put his Tidebinder Mage here. He can put the Frostburn Weird here, and then just take the 3 from the...
well, he would get flying.
Oh yeah, he does have flying, that's true. So you would have to block with the Spectre and then put the Weird there. I actually think that's fine. I'm going to go to my attack step.
Okay.
Attack, 2 triggers.
Yep. So I'm not too worried about the Soldier of the Pantheon because we have this, which we'll deal with it at any point in time. I do want to get rid of the Daring Skyjack and the Boros Elite, but I don't want to lose too much in doing so. So I think what we're doing is we're going to put the Spectre on the Skyjack and we're going to double block the Boros Elites. You know, it sucks to lose a lot of devotion, but like a Master of Waves is going to be good anyway. So I think I'd rather just take as little as possible. Yeah, I think I want to block like that.
Alrighty, so we're going to order the Tidebinder Mage in front.
Yep.
And then I'm going to give my guys indestructibility.
Alright, well, we're going to respond to that.
He does have a rapid hybridization?
I
Jeez.
do. Yeah. Let's see. We either kill the Boros Elite and save our Tidebinder Mage, or we kill the Skyjack and save our Spectre. Or we can kill one of our own guys and get a 3/3. The Skyjack is honestly the scarier card, I think. But I don't want to lose. If I lose the Tidebinder Mage, then he has 2 3/3s and they can both attack, which is actually kind of scary. We are still at 11. But we could die in just a few hits to the Skyjack. It's definitely an interesting call. him having Boros Charm there, like versus Brave the Elements, I guess it's the same thing either way. I guess that we probably should have just double blocked the Boros Elite and not blocked the Skyjack, or just block the Skyjack to force his hand, but and not lose anything out of the exchange. Yeah, this is a tough one. I think we would rather him not have. I guess the thing is like even if he does have the Skyjack, he does have to send 3 creatures to give it flying. And if we have a good ground presence, we can like deal with those creatures. So I think I want to keep my Tidebinder Mage around to keep that Frog Lizard locked down and force him to have to attack with like Soldier into some of our other cards. I don't know. This is tough. This is a tough choice. I guess he has to attack with multiple creatures to make Boros Elite good too. Yeah, I'm gonna kill a Skyjack. So
Okay.
that could end up being a mistake, but
Skyjack dies. I'll get a Frog Lizard.
I think I want.
Dies. You take 2.
Yep, I think 2. I think I want more devotion and to limit you from killing us in the air. So.
Oh no, I dropped my pen. It's still yours.
Okay.
And this guy dies, right?
I mean, he's indestructible.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you hybridized him.
I killed the other guy. Yeah.
Okay. You took 2. You're at 9. I'm at 18. Board state's fine.
Yeah. So we need to draw like a Thassa or something to lock down the ground, but we have a number of live draws.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right. Draw. We will play a Mutavault and pass the turn. Or actually, let's see. Can we even profitably block? I guess we can double block with Spectre, so yeah, that's fine. We'll pass.
All right. So a land here would be nice. All right. So if I send with the team here, he can't block the Soldier unless he uses a Mutavault. He could have another hybridization. He also could have a Cyclonic Rift. I think we're still good with attacking here.
Okay.
So combat,
Bring it.
trigger.
Yep. All right. We'll activate Mutavaults. I think we want to get Boros Elite off the table here. If we draw something like a Domestication for a Frog Lizard, that's pretty good. So I don't want to like get any of those Frog Lizards out of the way. So I think we're gonna block here, and then I think we're gonna double block Boros Elites. Yeah. All right, we'll double block Boros Elite.
All right. Well, I'm gonna order the Spectre in front of the Mutavault.
Okay. And hopefully he doesn't have another combat trick here to blow us out.
And I'm ready for damage if you are.
Okay. We will drop to 4.
Yep.
Boros Charm me? Yeah, okay.
It's so funny, the whole time I had the second charm, and you were, like when you were talking about the rapid hybridization, I was just like, man, don't kill that Boros Elite. I need this Frog Lizard to untap so I can try and push damage through the next turn.
Yeah.
And get you with the Boros Charm.
I mean, I think I had to get rid of the flyer.
Play, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just had islands, so.
Yeah.
All right, so we are here for the conclusion of Mono Blue versus White Weenie. Basically 2 pretty much monocolored decks.
Yeah.
Duking it out in the fields of, I don't know, Dominaria. Is that where we're at right now? Ravnica, maybe?
No, we're on Theros.
Oh,
remember?
We're on Theros.
We're on Theros.
So, okay.
The Greek Isles.
Oh.
But we can't use Greek because it's not actual Greece.
Right, it's Theros, yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was a pretty interesting match. I think it's a pretty close match for the most part. I know a lot of people think that the mono white deck is pretty favored, but my experience has been the opposite. So I don't know. like I'm willing to think that I'm wrong, and maybe I've just been like lucky the times I've played it. But I'm willing to also say that maybe it's not as bad as people think it is.
Yeah, like I felt like I got fairly unlucky in a lot of the games that we just played. I feel like both decks have a huge advantage being on the play.
Yeah.
So like as long as you don't stumble on the play, there's a very good chance that you're going to be able to win, and your opponent like has to draw exceptionally well to actually to beat you if they're on the draw.
Yeah.
But when both players stumble, like we saw in game one, is where the game actually becomes pretty interesting. Like if I don't just jam my Boros Charm into your Judge's Familiar for no reason, like that game actually becomes like a real game of Magic, and we get to play back and forth.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
in games where one person just like curves out and the other one stumbles, it's just not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like honestly, like most of our games are that way. Like the 2 games I lost, I had really bad draws.
Yep.
And in 2 of the games that you lost, you had really bad draws.
And that's
So
like
it's
one of the that's something that can happen with these monocolor decks. So it's not like it's not so often that we're like getting color screwed, but like we just like won't have lands, or we'll have too many lands, and then the other person just has good cards, and you end up losing.
Well, like the thing about both of our decks is like all the cards in our decks build off of each other. There's no like Boros Elite's not a card you jam by itself. Like Judge's
Correct.
Familiar is not a card you just jam by itself.
Yeah.
Like all the cards in our deck kind of build off of each other. So if you don't get the right curve out, if like your cards don't build off each other in the right way, or your opponent disrupts it or something, like your draw is just going to be miserable.
Definitely.
But I mean, like even in like the game where you mulled a 5, like you actually had a pretty good draw.
Yeah,
in
like
that game.
if I would have had 1 to 2 more cards that game, it I feel like I probably would have won.
Yeah.
And had you not had Jace, I actually win. Like when I was talking through the lines of play where I banish or priest your Frostburn Weird instead of using the pacifism on it, is so that I can kill you through a Master of Waves in 2 turns if I draw Brave the Elements, which I did, but I was 3 damage behind because of the Jace. So
right, yeah, that just
pretty interesting how powerful Jace is against the deck.
Yeah, Jace is like very powerful that game, and even though I was bricking on his -2s, it still dug me like super deep into my deck.
Yeah.
And eventually, I finally found a Master of Waves to seal the deal.
The one thing that I'm a little sad about is that we didn't get to see a Johnny in any of the games.
True.
I feel like a lot of people underrate a Johnny in the matchup, but I think it's one of my best cards. Like our creatures are, pretty piddly. They're not going to be doing a whole bunch, except mine once I have Battalion, and yours get your Devotion going. But once I have a Johnny, at some point it allows me to start building my creatures to be bigger than yours. And then, if you ever stumble, I can just jump and double strike you to death. Upwards of 4 to 8 damage. So it's I think the card is very, very good, and felt like even in a couple of the games where I ended up losing, if at some point I either had a Johnny or had the mana to play a Johnny, it definitely could have turned it around. I think he's just that powerful of a card.
Yeah, I actually agree with that a lot. Yeah, we didn't get to see a Johnny at all, and a Johnny would have definitely turned the tide. Another thing is Boros Charm ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot better than I thought. It's a lot of times against these types of decks, you think of it as just like 2 mana, 4 damage, redirect to Jace. But I'm able to use it as like a pseudo Brave the Elements to push through damage. And since your deck is so focused on generating Devotion and taking advantage of that, even if I can use it as a removal spell to kill 1 or 2 creatures when you're forced to block against an aggressive draw, that's very good because it just puts you on the back foot, and that deck, outside of just jamming Master of Waves, doesn't play very well on the back foot.
Yeah, and like one awkward thing about Boros Charm is like Rapid Hybridization or Cyclonic Rift can like interfere with it in combat, but I think the upside of like pressuring me, basically like the upside is that when you're ahead on board, you put so much pressure on me with a Boros Charm, and I think like the only way you're winning is like you have to be ahead early on in the game and then ride that to a win. So like I think you just have to assume like that's what the board's going to be like when you have a Boros Charm. Yeah. So I think like it's pretty good in those scenarios.
And like we saw in that last game, where I ended up having both of the Boros Charms that I had in my deck. So the turn where you tanked on where you're going to Rapid Hybridization and block, if you had not blocked the Boros Elite to force my hand, you were actually just dead to Boros Charm instead Boros Charm on my turn. So like the card just gives you a lot of reach and puts a lot of pressure on. And I think that I probably, if I could do it again, I would actually board up to a 3rd and probably cut down on like a Spear.
And I think that actually that board state was super interesting. Of which what creature do I hybridize? 'Cause I can get either of your guys, or I could get one of my own guys too. So basically, like I don't think I obviously want to keep my Night Veil Spectre and my Tidebinder Mage, because I want to be able to like block your Daring Skyjack, and also keep the 3/3 lockdown. So I think there's like a lot of interesting. I'm kind of interested to see what people say. But I think that that's a very interesting decision. I think that I made the right decision actually, even though it didn't work out in retrospect, because I think I have a lot more ways to interact with you like on the ground. Like another Frostburn Weird, for example, kind of like helps to lock down the ground, or something like that. So I think I ended up making the right decision, even though it didn't work out for me. But it's certainly interesting. I could see like a lot of different things being right there.
Yeah, it also makes it, like keeping your Nightveil Spectre around also makes it so Thassa is a live draw to try and hold the fort on the ground too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like it gives me Thassa, Domestication, or Jace is all like pretty live draws, or Master of Waves. Any of those draws super live there. So, yeah, I don't know. Still interested to see like what people think about it. And I mean, I've played a decent amount with the mono blue deck, but I am by no means like an expert on the level of some of these guys that are like top 8 GPs and stuff. So, you know, I'm sure like I made a number of wrong lines as these games. Because the deck's pretty hard to play actually. Like it's very fun, and I actually think this deck's very fun to play too, which is another thing that might come as a surprise. Like I think that like trying to figure out how to sequence your cards properly is pretty enjoyable, along with like it kind of becomes like a sub game a lot of times to try to turn on Thassa. And it's kind of fun to try to like figure out how you can like level your opponent to get like a Thassa hit in.
Especially when you like have a Nykthos or are planning on drawing a Nykthos to try and sequence all your spells to maximize your devotion and your mana. And like sequencing spells is actually a very important aspect of competitive Magic and trying to get better as a Magic player.
Yeah, it is.
And decks like this just give you a crash course on it, and it's it might be a little frustrating at first when you start playing it. 2 turns later, you're like, man, if I would have done this, it would have been great. But now you're actually seeing it, and you're not going to learn until you can see it and understand it. And this is a very good deck to try and practice that.
Yeah, and like one of the like the sequencing things that I really like too is like the interaction between Rapid Hybridization and Tidebinder Mage. A lot of times, like if you have a hybridization in your hand, and like you could play a Tidebinder Mage on turn 2, sometimes it's better to wait. So you can lock down the 3/3 when you hybridize something.
Yep.
So there's just like a lot of different things, but sometimes you also want to just play the Tidebinder out there because you need to get pressure out in the play.
Yep.
So there's a lot of interesting decisions with that, and I think it's pretty fun.
Definitely.
How about the Boros deck, the White Weenie deck?
The Boros deck was actually very good. I played it quite a bit once the deck became like a thing. When Ross played it, months ago. Ben Lundquist just recently won an Open with it, so it's picked back up in popularity. This is the list that top 8'd in Vienna, and we're back to Banisher Priest in the main instead of the frontline medics that were before. And I like that. I think Banisher Priest is good. Like frontline medic is awesome. I think it's worth playing some on the sideboard for like the mid-rangey matchups, and even against this matchup, it might not be bad. But I still like frontline Banisher Priest. The deck itself is pretty challenging to play as far as figuring out when you need to go for it to try and get damage in. Like the turn that I just blew a Brave to deal 5 to you. I actually used that on purpose because it allowed me to cast the Boros Elite, and then I had the Boros Charm to use as like a pseudo Brave the Elements the following turn, just to try and keep pressuring you. So trying to figure out plays like that sometimes can be a little difficult, but I think it's pretty enjoyable when you get to play a deck with a bunch of creatures in it that still makes you think.
Yeah, I actually agree. I've played the deck before. Played it on Magic Online for a bit, and I actually played it in a video like maybe last month, and I felt the same way. It's actually kind of challenging. Like one negative stigma that people associate with aggressive decks is that they're like mindless, and that's just actually not the case at all. I actually think it's harder to play those decks than it is to play a control deck.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Like I'm more of a control player at heart, so I find it much harder to play those kinds of decks. I make a lot more mistakes with them. They're actually pretty hard to play optimally, and I would never. I think it's a mistake that a lot of people make to just kind of write those kinds of decks off like that.
Sure.
And I do want to say that I like the Banisher Priest and Imposing Sovereigns a lot more than the Frontline Medics and Azorius Arresters that were in the other version.
Yeah.
I think Banisher Priest is one of the better cards in Standard right now, for the same reason that like Last Breath's a good card in Standard right now. Like everyone's playing these Devotion decks that try to build up like a critical mass of creatures, and just having a way to
break it up
is pretty important. Plus, like, it is a clock. Like, if you have a Spear in play or an Ajani, like, it's still a creature. Brave the Elements still lets it hit, So, I think it's pretty.
Brian and I have attacked quite a bit with Fiend Slayer.
Yeah.
And Banisher Priest is...
Fiend Hunter.
They're Fiend Hunter, not Fiend Slayer. Fiend Hunter. Banisher Priest is, just one step above.
Exactly. So yeah, I think both these decks are pretty awesome. I think they're both pretty decent right now.
Yeah, they're both very good, and there's actually a lot of tournaments this weekend. So we have a Classic in Columbus, there's an Open in Oakland, and this week starts the new PTQ season for Pro Tour Journey to Nyx,
Which is standard.
which is now standard. So if you're going to play some, some Magic this weekend, like most people are, these are definitely two decks that you should either have on your radar or have in your, in your holster to actually battle with.
And then you missed one. There's a Grand Prix in Dallas. It's
There
standard.
is also a Grand Prix in Dallas. Man, there's so much Magic this weekend.
There's a lot of Magic and all of it's standard. So,
I mean, dust off your pack rats, boys. People are going to be battling.
Tension Spheres and pack rats. So,
so again, anybody looking to play either of these decks, I definitely recommend either of them. I also think Mono Black is a good choice for this week. In fact, any deck that you feel like you can play well on standard is a good choice for this week. And I'm interested to hear from people how they did this weekend. Feel free to comment on the video in the comments. Let us know what deck you played, how well you did, because we need decks to play for next week, and hopefully something interesting comes out of the weekend.
yeah, I hope so. But yeah, definitely thank you for watching. Any feedback, let us know. We sometimes, unfortunately, but generally fortunately, do read the comments. So feel free to leave us whatever, and we'll see it.
Yep.
But
Thanks for stopping by this week, and see you guys next week.